Cindy Bertram. Thanks for joining me today in Good Ship Happens. And yes, a lot of exciting things going on in the cruise industry, of course, too, as always, because once again, good ship happens. Okay, we've got a lot of new ships coming out, of course, this year, next year, the year after, which is great too. I mean, well, but it does take a couple years to build a ship. Okay, you can't just build it in a week, a month, a year. It takes a couple years to build a ship. And what they do is, with cruise industry, what they do a keel laying first. When they're first getting ready to actually start building a ship, it's called a special keel laying first. And then later on they add more about what they're doing with the ship too, which is great too. And then what they do too is then they actually build ships over in Europe. Different shipyards are over in Europe. They build them there. And then have them sail in different places too, because once again, the Brilliant Lady, which is actually Virgin Voyages' new ship, just sailed over from Europe, and then she actually docked in New York on September 2nd, actually, and they did have people on board the ship for a couple of days, and actually did their inaugural first sailing out of New York to Bermuda. And then came back, doing different sailings. What they're doing is now the ship is going to start sailing out to Port Miami, but she's got some great itineraries coming up too, which is really, really great too, because what they're doing is they're actually going through the Panama Canal, which is great. To go through Panama Canal, the ship has to be pretty small, but once again, with Virgin Voyages, they're not big ships. They're offering different itineraries, of course, and then next year, Alaska should be sailing to Alaska, which is great too, from Seattle. So keep it in mind too, because once again, Alaska is such a gorgeous place to go to. I want to go back. Yes, it's a bit cold, but once again, they only sail Alaskan cruises usually May through September, because it gets too cold. Okay, and then of course they reposition ships. The thing is, they go to smaller places, which is great. You can see glaciers calving, which is phenomenal. First made Alaskan cruise. It was back a few years ago in 1997. Okay, I'm aging myself, but it was an amazing experience. I want to go back there so bad. But we saw glaciers calving. That's when they have babies, so to speak, but the glaciers calf. I saw whales first night. Skagway is a beautiful place to go to too, and just a beautiful place to go to. There's smaller cities and towns too. So once again, great way to really kind of see nature in different ways too. Plus, what's good too is when you talk about Alaska, cruise lines traditionally would always sail out of Juneau, Alaska. Or not Juneau, they would actually sail out of Canada. But what they did now too is a lot of cruise lines actually sail out of Seattle, okay, which is great. Seattle is maybe just about 3 hours south of Canada, but it's great to actually have an option to sail out of Seattle, okay. But once again, keep it in mind, because once again, Virgin Voyages is going to be offering some Alaskan cruises next year, okay, so keep in mind too. So that's kind of fun, isn't it? Once again too is, remember that, kind of funny, because Richard Branson, who actually founded Virgin Voyages, of course, had never even taken a cruise ship before, is well known for Virgin Air, plus also, remember, his record company too, which is great too, but also, once again too, he never even actually sailed, he didn't really like, and never really, I don't think if they ever sailed on a ship or not, but anyway, they decided to take the stance. Of course, what they do is they call their guests sailors, okay, which is really fun. And to sail on Virgin Voyages, of course, you have to be 18 years or older, okay, no kids allowed. Once again, they've got beautiful places to see on board the ship. Also, they've got different dining options, and with Virgin Voyages, what they do is you make reservations in advance for different dining venues. They're included, of course. And then, what's nice about Virgin Voyages, they don't have the big dining rooms. They've got special dining room places across the ship, which is great too. You just make your reservations in advance, and that's where you have your dinner, different nights, whatever. You get that reserved in advance, of course, too, before you actually sail on the ship. And what they did was they got 3 categories as far as how far in advance you can actually book your dining options too. But once again, beautiful. Another option definitely to think about too when you think about taking a cruise, or if you want to sail, right? Something else that is interesting too is, of course, new ships coming out. One coming out in November, actually, which is like a month away, right? Is actually going to be Celebrity Cruises. Their new ship, their Celebrity Excel, and Excel is actually spelled XCEL. is coming out in November 9th. It's their Edge class ship, and it's going to debut November 9th from Fort Lauderdale, which is great. They just announced 3 theater productions, okay? That's just right off the press this week. But they're going to have 3 different theater productions, okay? And 2 interactive club shows, music experiences, and dance parties too. They've got Main Stage, which is a high-energy music concert that transports audiences to the world's most iconic music festivals, featuring hits from artists across the decades. Also, Between Takes is a theater show that transport guests from the 1920s Hollywood backlot straight through the mayhem that really goes through cut action. And then the show will feature jaw-dropping Hollywood scenes, incredible vocals, high-flying stunts, mind-blowing choreography too. Okay, and Celebrity mentions that Chapters is a poetic and visually stunning journey through nature, transformation, self-discovery. The journey through each chapter reflects growth, change, and also connection, inviting guests to see themselves in the stories unfolding on stage. And the club will have 2 different interactive shows. They got 254 West and Hotel. 254 West guests will find themselves in the 80s at the closing night of the 2054 West Club. And after closing time, guests are invited to stay for their 254 West after party. Celebrity calls Hotel a comedic whodunit performance, which features cabaret flair and razor-sharp wit, keeping audiences guessing from a check-in to the checkout, too. And they got live music, too, which is great. New dance parties. Beckon guests to join the dance floor. They've got their fun Saddle Up Saloon, which will be country music party featuring a live band. So, once again, I love that name. Saddle Up Saloon. Yes, country western, y'all. And also they got a candlelight concert that will actually celebrate classic rock's most iconic artists. They got the Shine of the Night party that returns too. And then entices guests to And the Perfect Date dancing under the stars in shiniest outfits too, which is great too. And then at the Bazaar, they've got 4 festivals: Carnival, Aqua, Viva, Flora, that celebrate cultures of the different destinations that the ship visits too. Also, from costumes to music, guests will find regional entertainment that brings beauty of the Bahamas, Mexico, and the Cayman Islands, also the Dominican Republic, to life. And then the Celebrity Excel actually features some new games. They've got High Stakes, which is a mass participatory elimination game show. Okay, it's driven by instinct, luck, and suspense. And then Brain Spin, is a fast-paced game show that combines the thrill of spinning wheel with strategic thinking too. And funny thing too is, guests will actually be able to bring a robot to life. Okay, yeah, bring a robot to life on a ship. Okay, it's in their escape room style game that challenges guests to build a circuit board using clues and props hidden in lock boxes. And then in this destination theme mystery game, guests must assemble a world map to eliminate destinations and find the hidden treasure. Also, Game On at the Club is back, and this provides a spin on a retro arcade experience too. And they've got arcade games that are projected on the floor, and players can actually complete interactively too, which is great too. So once again, new entertainment is always fun too, especially on cruise ships, because once again, it's how they really interact with their guests on board. I think that's great too. And they just announced those this week. Okay, and once again, like I said, the Excel is going to debut in November. Okay, she's the 5th Edge class ship following the Celebrity Beyond and Celebrity Ascent. And she has a capacity of just 3,260 guests too, which is great too. And as mentioned, they've got different things they're offering aboard their new ship, of course. And once again, as mentioned, they've got this bazaar, which is actually their multi-desk, multi-purpose event space that really lets guests enjoy. We swept around different sites and scenes too. And as far as the Celebrity Excel, which is going to be sailing her itineraries, okay, right now, Celebrity Excel's and our voyages will sail the Mediterranean Sea, including first overnights in Portugal, and then of course the ship is going to be heading to Caribbean out of maybe for its second season, okay, and also, like I said, should be christened, of course, November. And what else here too, real quick here too. Let me see here, because I found a lot of information about the two. But I think it's kind of fun too that they've got the main stage, which is their festival concert style production, staging country to dance music. And then between the takes, as mentioned, which really illustrates the 1920s era of the Hollywood backlot too. And of course, they've got different dance parties, as mentioned. I like their Saddle Up Saloon music night, which is kind of fun too. And what else too? They've got some other venues too. I know they've got their spa facilities. This is actually enhanced by their Hydro Room as one of 8 therapeutic experiences too for the thermal suite too. And their Celebrity Pools Club will be a collection of sunbeds with a pool valet, which supplies chilled towels, card game, sunscreen, and storage too. And also, they've got and the new attic at the club will act as a 24/7 adults only neon gaming lounge with retro favorites, of course. And I know that what else? Like I said, it's got to really offer more interactive adventures for guests to do. So once again, keep in mind, Celebrity Excel is going to debut actually November 9th out of Fort Lauderdale, which is great too. So it's really great with new ships coming out and just sharing what they do. And once again too is Celebrity does some great things too. So once again, like I said, the Celebrity Excel is debuting, of course, November this year, and should be sailing, of course, out of I think Fort Lauderdale right now too. So once again, to keep in mind too, I don't remember who is going to be the godmother christening that ship, but keep in mind Celebrity Excel, and once again, it's XCEL is the cruise line's name too for that ship too. Mentioned before too, but we've got other ships. I think what other ships coming out too? We've got the Disney Destiny. That's going to come out later on November too, and it's their third ship and their trike class ships too, and it's going to include themes around the Marvel superheroes too, which is great. And with the Disney Destiny, okay, she will handle approximately 4,000 guests. Okay, that's coming out later in November. Okay, also we've got the Disney Adventure. This is debuting actually December 27th this year, and her passenger capacity is actually 6,000 guests. And it's supposed to be originally, I think their global class they did was it's going to be their part of their largest in their fleet. It's going to be home port actually in Singapore. Okay, so it's going to be offering different types of family-friendly amenities too, which is great too. And also, Windstar Cruises. They have their new ship, the Star Seekers, coming out on December 28th. Her passenger capacity is just 224 guests, and Windstar Cruises is expanding its fleet with this brand new Star Seeker launching late this year. Okay, and they currently operate 6 different ships. Obviously, the Star Seeker will be joining their existing Star-class vessels, the Star Breeze, the Star Legend, and Star Pride too. And then also mentioned before too is Four Seasons yachts. Four Seasons 1 is their new ship coming out actually next year. Okay, I think she's coming out now in March of 2026. But she has a capacity of just 180 guests, and it is a 679-foot 14-deck vessel, which draws an inspiration from the Four Seasons Hotel. also features 95 different luxury suites, okay? And the yacht's going to include floor-to-ceiling windows, terrace views, plunge pools, standout four-level funnel suite, also described as a villa at sea. And the fun thing about Four Seasons 1 coming out in March next year is they've got a very famous person who is going to be captain of the ship. The captain of the Four Seasons 1 is going to be Captain Kate McHugh. She's phenomenal. I got to know her when she was with Celebrity Cruises, who she worked for 10 years. She worked other cruise lines before, but when she joined Celebrity Cruises, I think in 2014, she became the first woman American captain of a cruise line ship. Okay? I mean, usually with the bridge you've got more men that are captains, but she was the first woman American captain of a cruise line ship. An amazing person. I met her a couple times, and she was with Celebrity Cruises for about 10 years, and she stepped down I think last December, took some time off because she lost her cat, but she decided to join Four Seasons Yachts, and she's going to be the captain Four Seasons one coming out later on in March this next year. So keep it in mind too, because once again, very luxury, once again, smaller, and just great experiences too. This is our first ship, Four Seasons 1, okay? And what else here? We've got other ships that have already come out too. Let's see here. Yeah, I think, yeah, but those are good too. And also, this is kind of fun too. I just ran across this earlier today too. Holland America Line. They've run for a long time. They're well known as far as sailing to Alaska. Okay. But they just announced something kind of fun. Okay. They're going to create a special lipstick experience. Okay. This might be more fun for women, of course, like me. I like wearing lipstick, yes. Okay, but also, they just announced are creating a lipstick experience at sea. Okay. So now, Holland America Line guests can actually come home with customized lipstick or lip gloss. Okay. They're introducing it's called the Blend Bar. Okay. Guests can actually work with a consultant with their color of choice. The color is created by then blending a selection of more than 30 different pigments. And then, excuse me, once completed, what they do is they pour into a tube that we customize to the guest selection with their name on the creation too. And they're going to, by mid-November, which is what, a month away, Holland America Fleet is going to launch their Blend Bar by mid-November. And as far as the cost for Create Your Lipstick, I think this is kind of fun. Okay, for lipstick, to create lipstick of your own coloring, it's $65 to create your lipstick or liquid matte. And then $60 to make a lip gloss. Once again, how fun. I love the title of where they're going to do this. It's going to be called Blend Bar. But Blend Bar is creating your own lipstick colors, which is great. As one we like that, I think it's kind of fun. I'd love to do that too sometime too. But how fun to have their Blend Bar, which is great. And that's actually where a guest can actually work with a consultant and then create their own color of choice for lipsticks, and also I think for lip gloss too. So keep in mind too, that's coming up middle-November on all the Holland America Line ships. Keep in mind too. And something else too is Princess Cruises, of course. They just completed a 2-week dry dock with one of their ships. The Sapphire Princess was just completed her 2-week dry dock in Portland, Oregon. And what they do is they added 2 specialty restaurants to the vessel to be part of general refurbishments and enhancement too. And with the Sapphire Princess, a bit more about her too. She carries 2,670 guests, and she now features Mikado Ocean and Crown Grill, which are scheduled to open for guests on November 16th this year. And what they did was they used to have this, I guess it was called, they used to have this internet cafe on deck 7. So what they did was they have installed their Mikado Ocean Sushi by Chef Mikado Okuwa. That was installed in place of the former internet cafe on deck 7. This restaurant, of course, also it previously debuted on the Sun Princess and Star Princess, which serves, of course, sushi, a premium menu that includes truffle salmon, snow crab, tamaki, and toro tartare. Also, handcrafted cocktails are available, including, if I can pronounce these, Jame Negroni, and also I think it's called Kodai no Hana, which combines yuzu juice with Dubuko Sashi. And some of the Crown Grill now occupies space formerly used by the Savoy Dining Room on Deck 5. The steak house includes premium aged beef, chops, and fresh seafood. And the restaurant, which is called the Crown Grill, has been recognized as one of the best cruise ship steakhouses at sea, according to their Princess Cruises too. The specialty dining venues are priced at $60 per person, and they are also included as an option for people who actually book the Princess Premium package too. So keep in mind too, because once again, dining is a great way to really just explore different venues and things too. As far as the Sapphire Princess, she's currently sailing to Mexico before she repositions to South America for South American and Antarctic cruises. And then she's going to move to the Mediterranean and Northern Europe for spring and summer 2026 cruises, voyages, followed by Canada and New England cruises coming in fall 2026. And in March 2027, the Sapphire Princess and her sister ship, the Diamond Princess, will both be sailing out of Tokyo. And this dual deployment represents Princess Cruises' largest Japan season. That's going to be running from March through December 2027 too. And so once again, with the addition of their Mikado Ocean and Crown Grill, guests on board the Sapphire Princess really will enjoy two of the most popular dining experiences, which really elevates the culinary journey across her itineraries too. So that's really great too. So once again, the Sapphire Princess just finished going through her dry dock in Portland and added these 2 new restaurants. And then once again, too, is these are going to be opening up to guests actually on November 16th. Okay, so keep in mind too. So that's kind of fun, isn't it too? Something else too is kind of fun too is we've talked about Rokumi before. They've got different ships. Their Icon of Seas came out last year. That was the biggest cruise ship ever built. And then this year, their Star of the Seas came out earlier this summer. And they just announced they've got another Icon class ship coming out. And this ship is going to be called Legend of the Seas. And with Legend of the Seas, she's going to have a 2-story casino. So that's a first. So they're building its first 2-story casino. And this is going to be on their next Icon class ship called Legend of the Seas. And this 2-level venue, which is really a differentiator from their other ships too. And with their new ship coming out next year, Legend of the Seas, it's going to have the 2-story casino. It's going to start sailing next summer on the Mediterranean with its first voyage departing from Rome, Civitavecchia, on July 11, 2026. And then she's going to home port in Fort Lauderdale beginning November to do Western and Southern Caribbean cruises, which are going to include stopping at their Perfect Day at Coco Cay in the Bahamas. Okay. And they just announced that. That's kind of fun too. And also, this is kind of fun too. They also announced that the ship's going to also host their first production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, at sea. And will remix their supper club and Royal Railways dining venues too. But how fun too, because once again, I love they're doing this production of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, and who knows, maybe they'll serve chocolate when you watch that how fun that production, that's great too. So keep in mind too, because once again, Legend of the Seas is going to be coming out next year, okay, and she's coming out next year, start sailing in July of 2026, but also I have a feeling they might also have a chief dog officer on that ship too. They haven't released anything yet, but once again, I have a feeling they probably will sometime, because once again, you know, I've shared more about Icon Seas. Rover is their chief dog officer, and of course with Star of the Seas, their new ship just debuted earlier this year in the summertime. They also have their chief dog officer, Sailor. They're both golden retrievers, really cute, and they're there to really create happiness for the people on board the ship, of course, too. They're not driving the ship with their paws, right? But also, they're creating happiness for the employees, to the staff, because once again, they can relate to that too, whatever. So I have a feeling sometime they will probably announce that they will be having a chief dog officer on their next ship coming out next year. It's called Legend of the Seas. It's Icon class, okay? And I will keep you posted, because once again, I haven't mentioned yet, but I'm sure they will, because once again, who doesn't like dogs, okay? I mean, people do. The guests aboard the ship do. Once again, with Sailor and Rover, they're not driving the ship, so to speak. They're there to create happiness and fun for people too, including their staff members too. And as far as the other ships coming out too, we've got with Emerald Cruises. The Emerald Kaya is coming out April 2026, and with Emerald Cruises, they're smaller. She just accommodates 128 guests. She's got to start sailing on April 4th of 2026, offering 11-day Mediterranean cruises that will be from Cyprus to Athens. And then she'll be sailing Mediterranean, Adriatic, and Aegean seas. Also, we've got the Norwegian Luna. That's going to be coming out April 2026 next year too. Our capacity is just 3,550 guests. They haven't mentioned their inaugural sailing yet, but they'll mention it later on too. So once again, of course, we've got, as mentioned, Legend of the Seas. I just mentioned that too, but they are going to have that 2-story level casino, okay? And with Legend of the Seas, because it's Icon class, of course, too, that's coming out next year, but they will accommodate approximately 5,610 guests, okay? Then we've got the, let's see here, Viking Cruises. They've got their Viking Mira coming out 2026. They didn't mention the actual date, but with the Viking Mira, which is Viking Cruise Lines, will come at just 998 guests. Her inaugural sailing is going to be taking place on June 5th of 2026, okay? And then, of course, we've got another ship coming out with WindStar Cruises in December next year. That's going to be called the Star Explorer. That's WindStar Cruises. And they haven't mentioned as far as where she's going to be sailing to, but I'll share more later on too. And once again, we've got some ships coming out next year with American Cruise Lines. Okay, American Cruise Lines is family-owned American, and they've got their American Maverick, also American Rover, coming out in 2026. And what they do is their guest capacity for each of these is just 126 guests. They usually sail on the rivers, okay, so keep in mind too, and also they position their ships too, but anyway, they're smaller ships, and they do some phenomenal things too. They go through the Great Lakes, whatever, and down the rivers too. It's great too. Also, we've got Regent Seven Seas. Luxury Cruise Line, their Seven Seas Prestige is coming out sometime in next year. They didn't release a date, but with Seven Seas Prestige, that's Regent Seven Seas Cruises, their luxury guest capacity is just 850 guests, okay? Also, later on in 2026, in August, Explorer 3 will be debuting. That is Explorer Journeys. That's their third ship. And with Explorer Journeys, they're luxury. They're owned by MSC Group, family owned. And with their Explorer 3, that's debuting in August next year. Her capacity is just 926 guests. They mentioned her inaugural sailing is going to be taking place August 3rd. It's going to be a 7-night voyage. They call them voyages, of course, journeys, but It's going to be from Barcelona to Lisbon. And then her maiden season will include Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Greenland, Iceland, East Coast, U.S., and Caribbean too. And once again, it's luxury. Okay, their motto is bring ocean life to sea, which is great too. So keep in mind, because that's going to be another ship coming out next year, 2026. As far as 2027, yes, they've already made announcements. So, because once again, remember that it takes a couple years to build a ship too. And I know that with 2027, we've got Explorer Journeys. They have the Explorer 4 coming out. 5 and 6 is coming out, I think, in 2027. And they got Explorer, let's see, this would be more ships coming out in 2028. But with Explorer Journeys, the guest passage is 926 guests. That reveal more. Once again, it's coming out 2 years, so that's good. And also we've got another ship coming out with MSC Cruises. They've got their MSC World Atlantic. That's coming out in 2027. They haven't mentioned what more about it, but I think their inaugural sailing will be sailing from Port Canaveral probably too, and also Caribbean, I think Caribbean sailings too. So keep in mind too. And then we've got another, let's see here, with Celebrity Cruises. They got their 6th Edge class ship coming out in 2028, and they haven't really mentioned the name yet. That's coming out, I think, in sometime 2028. I'll keep you posted on that too. Based on double occupancy, they've got guest capacity of 3,260 guests. And then we've got more Viking ships coming out. That's in 2028 too. And also we've got, I know Disney has some new class ships coming out too. 2029, 2030, 2031 too. And then with Norwegian Cruise Lines, they've got more of their premium class ships coming out too. In 2027. They haven't mentioned the names yet too, but once again, they have more ships coming out too. And also, Carnival Cruise Line has their Carnival Festival coming out in 2027. As far as capacity for that one, that's going to be 6,400 guests, but that's going to be called their Carnival Festival too. So keep in mind, because you've got new ships coming out in 2026, 2027, after that too, which is great too. So keep it in mind, because there's so many options out there as far as ships and which one you want to go on. People say, what's the best one? But the point is, you've got beautiful options as far as cruises out of river cruises out of Europe, which is great. So one's got to mention before, but also the cruise ships there, the river cruises, they're your floating hotels. Because once again, too, with different ports, of course, in Europe, it's hard for bigger ships to get there. So once again, I think that's really where, think about taking maybe a river cruise over and sailing in the European waterways, Danube, Rhine, whatever, is a great option too. Because once again, the ships are small to accommodate going through the rivers, which is great too. Plus, they can stop right there, which is great. And different options as far as guests to really, really explore, enjoy. Also, a good example too is with Alma Waterways. They're very, very famous river cruise line, been around for 23 years now. And what they do is they just launch their one ship. I think the next ship coming out too pretty soon, if she hasn't already. But anyway, they've got their one ship that also sails on the Magdalena River in South America. Very small, but looks fantastic. They also have a second ship coming out. Obviously debuted it, not yet, but once again with Waterways, they really do phenomenal things too. And like I said, there with Europe, it's easier to kind of navigate the different cities because their ships are very, very small. We've got other river cruise line ships that do that too. So once again, keep that in mind if you're thinking about maybe going to Europe, because once again, this is an option. Another thing too is with cruise lines, river cruise lines too, is Amora is a good example too. They do offer cruises, sail on the Usual River too, which is great too. And just some more options, which is really, really great. And then also, I mentioned this before, but once again, one thing, a long time ago, I used to travel myself as an advisor, but I actually had a client that wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands. She took her family because her grandkids had just been graduating from school, so you take them on a big trip, but she actually did Galapagos Islands, which is great too. And once again, I know that Celebrity Cruises, they have their ship. It's their Celebrity Cruises Galapagos Expeditions aboard their Celebrity Flora. They're now open for bookings for 2027. They've got all-inclusive itineraries that include 7, 10, 11 nights, and it's really, really beautiful. This client I sent there, she came back and just absolutely loved it, okay? Because once again, with the Galapagos Expeditions, they don't allow big ships there. There's only a certain number of ships that can go there. And Celebrity Cruises, their Celebrity Flora actually sails in the Galapagos Islands, which is great too. The Celebrity Flora, by the way, too, is just, it's a 100-passenger mega yacht. It's been specifically designed for the Galapagos Islands, and it features all-inclusive accommodations, gourmet dining, exceptional hospitality too. And what's great too is it's actually guided by expert neurologists from the Galapagos National Park. Guests can really explore the stunning nature and also the wildlife of the volcanic archipelago. Also includes unique experiences because it includes, I love this, glamping under the stars, snorkeling with sea lions, yes, also kayaking with sea turtles, and also coastal explorations too along the volcanic cliffs, and also the guided giant tortoise tours too. And once again, what's great too is Celebrity Cruises is actually been celebrating 10 years of progress at their, it's called the, I think it's pronounced Scalesia Reforestation Project in partnership with the Galapagos National Park too. It's called now, it's known as Rewilding Galapagos Initiative, which really invites guests to help restore cultural natural habitats and protect the endangered wildlife too, which is great too. And with Celebrity Cruises, of course, too, itineraries include, each itinerary includes a visit to their restoration area where Celebrity Flora guests can actually plant seedlings across the Galapagos Park Rangers. And it's the only tour operator collaborating with Galapagos National Park on this initiative too. And Celebrity Cruises is actually planting over 85,000 endemic plant species too, which is great. And to commemorate the milestone, park representatives and guests aboard Celebrity Flora actually participated in this tree planting event too. But what a great thing. And once again, going back to this Galapagos Fund, was founded in 2005, and Celebrity Cruises Galapagos Fund supports local conservation with restoring ecosystems and funding community projects too. And the newly renovated Herman Karajan Nursery grows native plants for reforestation efforts too. And over the past decade, 10 years, guests have helped restore more than 60 acres of land that harbor diverse habitats for unique plant and animal species too. So once again, I said they have got these. Celebrity Cruises has their Galapagos expeditions now open for bookings too. And they're open for bookings now for 2027 bookings too, which is great too. So plan ahead too, because once again, you probably don't hear about the Galapagos Islands. Beautiful. I sent a client there a long time ago. They loved it. Once again, certain ships can only go there. I know Celebrity Cruises has been doing their Celebrity Flora for quite a long time, but it's just a great, great thing to kind of think about experience too. And once again, just a lot of good things going on in the cruise industry. Something else coming up too is we see some ships that are actually starting to sail out of Galveston, Texas, which is great too. And we've seen different ships sail out of there too, because once again, in Texas, they have been advancing. Cruise lines really been advancing to have ships sail out of the Galapagos. I mean, not of Galapagos, but out of Galveston, Texas too, which is really, really fun too. I think it's great too to think about that too, because once again, it's another option, okay? Because once again, originally when the cruise industry started years ago, of course, cruise lines started sailing out of Port Miami. That was kind of like a place where cruise lines sailed out of. Then they expanded into sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, okay? And then they started growing, of course, to sail out of Port Canaveral, which is maybe an hour away from Orlando. And then we've seen different growths too, which is great too. So it was really, really great as far as the growth, as far as where to choose to sail from too. Also, a good example too, of course, is with Virgin Voyages. A brilliant lady just did her first sailing out of New York. Okay, and then she did some cruises to Maria. Then she's sailing down to Florida, where she's sailing out of Florida right now too. Then she'll be repositioning, which is great too. So there are a lot of good options, I think, to think about as far as where you want to sail out to, where you want to go. And like I said, with Port Galveston, cruise lines are sailing out of there too, including one with MSC Cruises. And one they're going to have sailing out of Port Galveston is going to take place. I think she's arriving at Port Galveston on, let's see, that's November 7th. Then she'll start sailing out of Port Galveston, I think, on November 8th. And that's the first time they put a ship there, too. We've got different ships that sail out of Port Galveston, too, so keep in mind, too, because we've got so many options out there, too. It's really fun as far as options to think about where you go and do, too. So, yes. But it's really great, because once again, new ship coming out. Big ones, little ones, niche ones, which is great, too. River cruising is fantastic. Like I said, and you've got one thing that people don't realize too is cruise lines are really working very, very hard on going to reducing emissions too, using liquefied natural gas to operate their ships too. Also, shore power is another example too. They're doing too, but they're really working hard on that too to beat net zero emissions by 2050. And what's great too is they're already moving forward on that too. But once again, people don't know what they're doing, and they're really hard, because once again, they stopped serving plastic straws years ago, too. They got rid of plastic straws, which is great, too. I think we need to really kind of focus on this. Choices out there. Good choices. Galveston is really fun, too. So, yes.
Cool. Lots of good things going on and everything like that. So maybe you're ready for the dogs. We'll get out of here with the dogs and everything like that. But always a fun show with you talking about the amazing things happening in the cruise industry.
And I have a feeling that with Royal Caribbean's new ship coming out next year, I think she'll have a chief officer on board too. They haven't mentioned it yet, but I'm sure they will, because once again, people like dogs like their kids, right? But the thing is, with the chief dog officer on each of these two ships before, with Icon Seas, Star of the Seas, Rover, and Sailor, they're beautiful. We've shown videos before. I've shown the next video right now in a minute, whatever. But they're just really great, and they bring happiness to people too, like crazy, which is great too. We need it more than ever. So yes.
Definitely need that more than ever. So we're going to show that video right now and end the show that way. So it'll be a great way to end this particular edition of Good Ship Happens. So definitely great stuff going on. So let's check this out.
Okay.
As we're designing the best family vacation, there was one piece that was missing, which is, of course, the family dogs. And when guests go on vacation, one of the key things that they miss are their pets back home. And when our crew are sailing on board for their contracts, one of the things they miss are their pets back at home. And so we really wanted to make sure we brought a fluffy addition to our crew family. We went and got Rover, and here we are now for Star. We're picking up Sailor, and Sailor will be living on Star of the Seas.
Well, the Chief Dog Officer was an idea that we created actually when we were developing and concepting the Ultimate Family Townhouse. We were all sitting around saying, when you think about the Ultimate Family Townhouse, what does that mean? And all these ideas came around, and somebody threw out the idea of having a family dog. And we said, well, it feels a little selfish to have a family dog for just one family. Why don't we have a family dog for the family on board the ship? And so that's how the position evolved, and we thought, well, obviously it's a very important position, and of course all important positions on ships are called chief. So we thought Chief Dog Officer is perfect.
When we first came up with the idea for Project Rover or Project Sailor, we realized we don't really know a lot about what it means to take care of a dog on a cruise ship. And so we partnered with some of the most well-respected animal well-being certifiers globally to really help us create this program from the ground up and make sure that when Rover and Sailor are on board, they're having the best day every day.
So there's a very well-written, crafted position description that, of course, the Chief Dog Officer can't read. The key mission is to have fun, and that's exactly what Rover and Sailor do. You know, they just have fun.
So Sailor is very small. She's about 16 weeks. And so when Sailor gets on board, she's going to, take everyone's breath away. Sailor's life on Star will be full of adventure. She and her Chief Dog Officer role really means that she gets to go and explore the ship, go and explore our private destinations with our crew members, really just being that warm, welcoming family for her.
I just totally fell in love with Sailor. I fell in love with Rover as well, but I also fell in love with Sailor. she's so beautiful and loving and funny, and so I just completely fell in love. When we were thinking about the idea, one of the questions was, well, what will the crew think? Will the crew like the idea or not? And so one of the team members had a golden retriever and volunteered to bring the golden retriever down to one of our ships on a turnaround day, and we fitted the dog with a GoPro camera. It was very touching because after when we watched the video, so many crew stopped and hugged the dog and talked to the dog. When we saw that, we thought, wow, this is amazing. People miss their own family dogs.
And as we've done with Rover, as we're doing with Sailor, we really want to make sure we're focused on what's best for these animals. And really right now our focus is on Sailor and making sure that she is having the best life at sea when she gets on Star of the Seas in August.